Hello and welcome to the You Can Be Anything podcast. I'm your host, Solange Che. And today, as usual, I went into my professional space and I have the honor to be talking to yet another professional within the Salesforce ecosystem. And today on the podcast, I'm honored to have Shana Evans. Shana is a MuleSoft developer, and we have her on the podcast today to share with us her experience, her story, her challenges, some of the things that keeps her in the space, some of the things that she dreams of, some of the things that she will want to maybe put out there for the people who want to be in a similar space with her. So, hey, stay tuned, listening, and let us know your thoughts. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to put them in the comment section of this podcast when it goes live. Thank you again, all, for those of you who come out here, who get onto my platform to listen to my podcast. And again, once more to all my guests. So today, Shana, welcome to the You Can Be Anything podcast. It's an honor to have you.
You got the power, you got the strength. All you need is a will, this is a knowledge you got to learn. Because it is real. You can be anything, you can be anything. You can be anything, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Thank you, Solange. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks again, Shane. I appreciate you giving me this time of your day to come talk to me, to come share your experience, to come share the things that you do on your daily. And just again, the goal of my podcast, as the title says, You Can Be Anything, is to encourage people, to motivate people, to have their push to find their best versions. And talking to you is something that when I first met you at the Dreaming in Color conference in New Orleans, I had a little chat with you and I was like, yes, I want to hear more. I would love to hear more about your story. And that is how we got to where we are today. So for someone that is listening to us and they would love to know who Shana Evans is, please can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. So, to start off, I'm actually a non-traditional tech girly, I would say. Actually transitioned from a different area. Fun fact, I actually used to work security for 7 years. But what that was is, as security, we have some issues sometimes with our technology, so that I would talk with some of like the IT folks to say if like our radios are down or something. And I thought that was really interesting. So I was just like, maybe that's something that I can do with myself. But however, how I really got into it is when I started my degree in college. I was actually, fun fact, a pre-law student. However, one time we had a group project and I met with a woman who was a computer science major. And I thought that was really interesting. And I was just like, well, let me pick her brain. Let me talk to her and see what exactly is about the computer science field. Because at the time, from my understanding, it was really about problem solving. And I love problem solving. So she gave me the information, invited me to some of the communities, and I was really interested in it and really got deep into it. And once I really got into it, I was just like, yeah, this is for me. So, in true Shayna form, I completely dived into it. I went to a hackathon in Miami, and then that's just when it really clicked for me that I really could be in this space. I remember calling my mom crying because I was just like, Mom, I feel like I have a sense of purpose. Like I found it. I found what I want to do.
Yes. Oh.
So since then, I really just explored a lot of different realms. At one point, I worked in software testing. I worked with cybersecurity, but it wasn't quite the fit that I was looking for. But what led me into MuleSoft is that there was a partnership with an institution called Us in Technology, and they had a partnership with Rubrik, and they were offering apprenticeships. And I just took the moment to say, Shayna, if this is something that you really want to do, just shoot your shot, like give it a try, just apply. And I
Yeah.
applied and I was accepted. I had the honor of working with Apicero, which is now NTT Data. And it gave me about 6 or 7 months of real hands-on training with MuleSoft because honestly, I had no idea what MuleSoft was, but I knew that there was coding involved and there was that
Mhm.
problem solving aspect. So I was just like, okay, I think this is something that I can do. So after I finished my apprenticeship with Apicero, I just went ahead and I started applying for roles and fortunately was able to get the role that I have today. So it was really just within the realm of possibility. I feel like I really just set my intentions to do what it is that I wanted to do, and it just happened for me.
Awesome. That's amazing. And thanks for introducing yourself and how you got into the MuleSoft space. But one thing I should make clear to you, which I know I did when I met you at the Dreaming in Color event in New Orleans, shout out to all the Dreaming in Color organizers. These are some of the lasting relationships that your conference is creating, and we definitely appreciate it. One thing I called out to you was the fact that there are tons of people within the Salesforce ecosystem who do not know what MuleSoft is. They might see it, but they don't even know what it does. So again, in as a non as a, like talk to someone that is not a Muley, all right? What is MuleSoft?
So MuleSoft is an integration platform as a service or an iPaaS. Basically, you can call it the middleman or maybe the middle mule, pun intended. Basically, MuleSoft serves as a catalyst for different softwares to communicate with each other. So the best way that I can describe it is to say that you have a platform such as, let's say, Facebook. Say that you're going to log into like your social media page. So you put in your username, password, right? So how this works is that you put in your username and password, and then there's a middle person or an API, which we'll get back to that soon, that communicates with the database that holds your information in order for you to connect to that platform. MuleSoft could serve as that middle person to basically take the input from what you put in, connect with the database, speak with the database and say that, hey, this is the username and password information that you need. It will grab that information from that database and then bring it back to you so that you can log in. So in short, MuleSoft is just a way to connect different softwares and communicate with one another. And what I found really interesting about that is that it's so fast. Some of the major ones that I like to work with is AWS, the cloud platform. You can integrate with ServiceNow. There's just so many different platforms that you integrate with, and I found that really interesting. So all of that to say that MuleSoft is an integration platform to connect systems to be able to communicate with each other.
Awesome. That is great. That's a good definition for anybody that probably did not know what MuleSoft is. Again, you've learned that. And I still want to understand why MuleSoft. You said you had gone for this, you talked to someone that was in the who was major in computer sciences. You got into the tech space, you had some experience with you said cybersecurity, coding and all of that. Why did you pick MuleSoft? Why was that the path that intrigued you the most?
That's a really good question. So I would say what really drew me to MuleSoft is the fact that it's just so vast and you're automatically having to learn different paths, like say, like I mentioned earlier, like with AWS, like you have to like have some sense of understanding of what these other platforms work with. So in whole, it's variety. I like that MuleSoft just offers different variety and different options. Like when I first got into it, I quickly realized that it's more than connectors and components, that there is ways that you have to like transform your data. There's
Mhm.
data transformation. There's just so many different aspects about it. And it's just for me, I really appreciate that you just have to learn so much. Like in the past year, I've learned how to use Git, I've learned how to use Postman, Soap UI, so many different platforms. And like I said, MuleSoft is just like that catalyst of opening up different avenues to different
Right.
platforms. So all in all, I would say between that and then also the MuleSoft community, they've been extremely helpful in my growth. Like if I have any questions about anything, they're more than willing to help. One that I can really mention is Integration Quest. They're very pivotal in my MuleSoft journey and helping me really understand what the platform was. So overall, the combination of the community and just the ability to scale with MuleSoft is what attracted me to it. And then also, I just have to say, it has the cutest mascot, Max Mule. And I love one of the things that I said that I really wanted to manifest was like, I just need to work with a company or with a platform that has a cute mascot. And it's Max
Yeah.
Mule. So, like, come on.
Yes, that's beautiful. And so do we need you need I need a bigger one. Your mascot is tiny. We need a bigger. We want to be able to see a bigger mirror. Okay.
We'll work on it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah, at some point we'll get there. Yeah, that's beautiful. Again, when you talk of MuleSoft, you talk on your journey, and if so, let me use myself as an example. When I got into the Salesforce ecosystem, I studied Salesforce in general, right? I did Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and then at some point, I decided to focus on field service. So I'll call myself a field service expert because that is where I've built the most experience within the Salesforce ecosystem and the Salesforce of among all the Salesforce clouds, right? Can you share with us how, like, what was it like for you when you decided to say, hey, you would love to focus on understanding MuleSoft? Because one thing we know for sure is that this is a very important part of businesses because most businesses have different platforms, different software, right? People will use different ERPs, they will use another for their customer relationship management, whether it's Salesforce or anything else. They will have another one to manage their field work. You mentioned service now. I'm talking to you now about field service, all of those things. And because companies have this many softwares, at some point they come to the realization as they scale, like, hey, we need the systems to talk to each other. We want to be able to get information from this system so that we don't have to deal with this system disparately, right? So what I would love for you to share with us was that how that journey has been for you, your MuleSoft journey, learning about it. You talked about taking a 7-month course. What are some of the ways or resources that you have used so far? You mentioned the community. It's okay if you have to repeat some of those, but just to respond to the question, please share with us how that journey has been for you. What are some of the resources that you have used to gain the knowledge around MuleSoft?
Right. So, what really helped me was looking at the real world implementation of MuleSoft. Because, like I
Mhm,
mentioned, granted, I took the course that, helped me really acclimate into the MuleSoft world, but you never really know how it's going to work until you're in it.
yeah.
So what I really did was really just taking those examples of like, okay, how does the world really use MuleSoft and more broadly API integration? Part of that also was just taking the initiative of just making my own projects, even if they were small, just getting into Anypoint Studio, which is the IDE, which is an integrated developer environment, and just playing around with some of the connectors and components, seeing like what types of platforms can integrate with MuleSoft.
Mhm,
Also, taking advantage of the Trailhead courses for sure. That really helped me as well. And again, tapping into the community and really just taking the time to read and see how people are implementing MuleSoft really helped me a lot with that. But all in
mhm,
all, I would say it's just really honing into how does the world really use MuleSoft? Like there's a difference between the planning and the strategy, but how does it really execute it? So, what really helped me is just reading articles or reading blogs or even on LinkedIn, how people just share their information and really just soaking that in. That really helped me really get a real grasp on what exactly a mule does. And honestly, just getting into it and just diving head on, because again, you don't know how you're going to act in a scenario until you're in it or until you get those business requirements and you get that acceptance criteria so you can really understand how this is going to work in the real world.
yeah, that's interesting. You sound like it was all sweet. You sound like it was all a happy journey, girl. I know it was Not. Yes, share with us. What are some of those challenges that you faced on this journey? Because I know for sure it was not as sweet as you're making it sound. If you don't mind to share with us, please.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. That's like the beauty of it. That's the end result. However, what really was really challenging for me is really just grasping how it worked. It took me a while to really understand how it worked. Took some time to really sit down. It was just like, okay, we're working with APIs, and coming into this new, I'm just like, wait, what is an API? What is meals, like, what is this? It took me a while to really
Mhm.
understand, and even now, like 3 years in, there's still so much to learn. So some of the
Yeah.
challenges that I had was just really grasping like exactly what mule was and what the intention was. That's why I
Mhm.
said like it really just took me to really just dive deeper and research these other aspects, because again, it's more than components and connectors. Because if
Yeah.
anyone's familiar with the MuleSoft interface, the components and connectors, they just look like colorful dots. That's the best way that I can describe it. And it's just like, oh, I can put colorful dots together. Like, I can do that. But not realizing that it just serves as an interface to the back code. And sometimes you're
Mm.
using Java, you're using SQL, you're using data weave. And these were just other aspects that I had to learn. And I didn't know that in the beginning. So again, like as you get deeper into it, it's like, oh, okay, this is more than just putting colorful dots together. You really need to understand the business requirements. You really need to understand the logic and how these are really integrating with these different platforms. So the
Mhm.
challenge for me was just really, again, just trying to figure out how exactly do I put this together so that it works.
Yeah, so yeah, of course, we all hands-on, right? When we talk about learning stuff, we're always looking for hands-on experiences so that you can see the results of what you're building. Quick question. Is for someone who wants to learn MuleSoft, is it required for you to be a coder? Do you need to understand to write Apex, to code, to be a successful Mule?
I would say having a basic understanding would be helpful, but I don't believe that you need to be like a hardcore coder, because I wasn't a hardcore coder when I got in. But if anything, you do need to have an understanding of data weave, which is the transformation language that MuleSoft uses. So if anything, definitely look into data weave and see how that's used within MuleSoft and the API integrations. But to answer the question, no, you don't.
Okay, that's good to know. The reason I asked is because I know when I think one of my last episodes, I talked to someone else, a developer, and they told me that they were not interested in learning anything about admin. They just wanted to go straight up and learn code like FX and just do things. And he found himself, he had to go back and say, okay, let me go back into the admin cert, understand the platform as an admin, and he said that experience actually helped him to be a better developer when he understood how, like, he went through all the platform certifications. So he said it was a very helpful experience for him. Now, we know that within our space, there is this, we want to have certificates, right? We need certifications. We need to prove. I have a mixed feeling again. Let me not derail our conversation, but I have a mixed feeling about certifications and what people actually do, because sometimes I've taken certifications on different clouds of Salesforce that I've never really had the opportunity to put into practice, right? And I'm someone that believes in if you don't use it, you lose it. Right. And I spend all the time learning about all these different clouds, and if I don't get the opportunity to actually to implement this knowledge that I have learned, if let's say for 3 years from now, you give me a project on one of the certs, and again, when I talk of certs, I'm talking about the ones that are mostly cloud distinct. Like maybe we're talking about things like data cloud today that are different, not something like service cloud, which you can, if I'm doing field service, I'll definitely, most of the time, I'll come in contact with service cloud or sales cloud. So these clouds really talk to each other a lot, but you need those clouds that need special licenses. So it's like talking to someone that is familiar with Sales Cloud and you're asking them about field service. Most of the time, they don't know what it is, right? They don't even know where to begin because some of the clouds, even though when put together, they can talk to each other, but there is no guarantee that somebody that is a Salesforce expert that is huge in the sales side will know all the other clouds. Let's talk about certifications. How do you, or how, what is your strategy, by the way? What's your certification strategy when it comes to your MuleSoft career path?
So, as far as certifications, when I did the apprenticeship, I was able to successfully complete my MCD1 or CMD1 now that it's been named a little bit differently now. The
Yeah.
way that I described it, or the way that I went about it, is just really just determining what it is that I wanted to accomplish. For
Mm-hmm.
me, at first I wanted to go like all hands on deck and all in. It's like I'm going to get all of the certifications, which eventually I will, but I really needed to just, I would say, just
Step back.
narrow my scope and really just understand, like, okay, what do we need right now? Like, what would best benefit me? So the way that I do it is, of course, the CMD1 and then
Mhm.
CMD2. I'm actually studying for the platform architect certification now. So I feel like it just depends on what your end goal is. Jumping in and
Mhm.
getting every certification, I mean, it's fine. Be ambitious, do what you want to do. But however, I feel like for me, I just had to just really define my scope and determine what it is that I wanted to accomplish. So the way that I went
Mhm.
about it is just, okay, Shana, like, what do you want to do? Like, we need to make sure that our developer experience is solidified. So let's go
Mhm.
for the CMD1, CMD2. Let's look at the trails and see like what they have to offer. Let's look at
Mhm.
other different types of information and concepts that we can bring in order to security certification. So for me, eventually I will secure the majority, if not all of the MuleSoft ones. But I feel like for someone who's just like listening, just really define what it is that you want to accomplish and go for it from there. Like you don't have to get everything all at once because your goal is to just get in the door. Once you get
Yeah.
in the door, then you can go ahead and like expand your horizons, but just get
Yeah.
those developer certs and then really just get your hands-on experience. And I feel like that would help anybody looking to get into the MuleSoft space.
Great advice. Great advice. When you see me bringing up questions like this, it's my experience from mentoring. So, for the past 2 years ago, this year I did not participate. I was part of the Trailblazer mentorship, and I had to, as a mentor, I benefited from that as a mentee. I think 2020 or 2021, and from there I had to give back by being a mentor too. And one of the things that I have always said too, it's not only about amassing the certifications. I came from academia. Girl, I can read. And if I know that if I am reading this stuff and you're quizzing me, if you give me a textbook of 500 pages, let's say 500 pages, and you tell me you're going to quiz me from that, give me time. I'll read it and you quiz me. And most of the time, I will get it correct. I'll get it right. That's again, I always feel like that came from my academia background, from reading a lot and having to write papers and doing things like that. So I love the art of reading. And I'm one of those who got buried into Trailhead when I started Salesforce. And till today, after I'm almost at how many hundred? I'm two ranger, so two rangers something. I still get excited when I get confetti. You know how you complete them.
Yeah.
The confetti still excites me. That
Same.
is how much time I spent on Trailhead. So I love Trailhead a lot. And with the time that I was spending on there, I took a lot of certs. I have quite a few of them. But again, as I say, in this it's not about amassing all of these certs. I love the advice you gave. Get the ones that you need. What do you need to step in? And while you're there, you can continue to work on the other certs now and just build your portfolio as you go on. So yes, I definitely love that advice that you gave, and it's your path. Let's go a little bit deeper. How are you planning to use MuleSoft, or how is MuleSoft this career that you're in now and you continue to build? Do you think this is going to help you in your future goals? I know we all start these things and we have ambitions, right? We want to get somewhere. What is it for you?
That's a good question. So again, I feel like MuleSoft was the catalyst to learning so many different avenues. If we think about it, with APIs, that's on the back end, but there's an entire software development life cycle. So if you really think about it, that's just one part of the SDLC. So for
Mhm.
me, MuleSoft has just really given me a chance to really understand how things work on the back end and then also how they affect the front end. So what I have doing like on my side quest, uh, my goal really is to become full stack engineer because it really gives me that holistic view of how all of this works, even taking on like volunteer projects or just offering any type of expertise that I can have now, it's just really given me an opportunity to really understand, okay, there's more to it. Again, with
Yeah.
connectors and components, APIs are just one part. So for me, even getting into, say, AWS or ServiceNow or any other platform. It just really opens and expands your horizons to learn what's going on in the tech space. But MuleSoft, again, has just been that door that's really opened and made me realize that, okay, I want to understand how all of this works. So full stack is definitely within my realm of possibility and something that I do on the side outside of this.
Okay, that's good. It's a good thing to be on the path and understand where you're going to. A lot of the times we're just doing this 9 to 5s, right? We're just going ahead. We don't even know what do I want to be? Where do I want to be in 4 years, in 5 years, in 3 years? So it's a lot when you talk like that. I love it because even to me, it passes a message even to me. And so you're talking, I'm like, okay, and Solange on your side, what are you working on? How is it going? What is it going to be for you in the next 3 to 4 years? So thanks for sharing that. It also creates that awareness in me that I have to continuously ask myself that question and put a roadmap, like have a vision board of where I want to be as time goes on. And I hope that for our listeners, this does the same. These are your professional goals. What are some of the personal goals you have and how do you balance this on your day to day, right?
Right. I will say that what I like to do is I like to go into different meetups or different groups. They'll have different topics that they will talk about. That
Mhm.
really helps me really get that holistic view that I'm looking for. Like, granted, I love MuleSoft, I love the community, and I do want to stay within that. But again, the realm of possibility is so vast. And I
Mhm.
would encourage anyone to just go out and just explore your options. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one avenue because it might change,
Yep.
especially with the AI boom that's going on right now. Like,
Mhm.
definitely just explore your options. Just get out there, ask questions. Or if you don't want to ask questions, that's okay. If you just want to sit in the background and just soak in, that's okay. So I would say just open yourself up to the realm of possibility. I know I mentioned full stack, but I know another goal for me is to become like the MuleSoft architect because again, I want to know exactly like the nitty gritty of how this works. So it's a really fun journey. It's a really fun experience to just learn what's out here for you.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Awesome. Again, I know I've dwelled on you. It's like, okay, Shada, what about this? What meals up? I know I've dwelled on you a lot. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about events. I want us to go back and talk about how I met you, which was at the Dreaming in Color event, and just get your general thought on events like that. What do you think of such events? What impact do such events create in our community that you would love to share? What do you think?
Yes, so I feel like events like Dreaming in Color or TDX or Dreamforce or any type of conference like that is really integral in, again, just showing people what the realm of possibility is, what's going on in the tech space, how are other people interacting with tech, what are they doing, what can they provide, or what is it that they're doing that I can take back and say, like maybe this is something that I can implement into myself. But overall, I really just feel like it's just inspiration to see that other people are living this life and really doing these things. So I feel like these type of communities are really important for us to have.
Yeah. And if there is there anything you love to say to the Dreaming in Color? Like, what was your feeling? I know I asked you this question when I briefly interviewed you at the event. What feedback do you have after attending the Dreaming in Color event in New Orleans last year?
For me, I feel like the representation that Dreaming in Color provided was really important for me. As being in the, what is this, my third year, I'm still fairly new to the tech space. So to see individuals who are new like me, or who have been in the industry for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it just really shows me that what I'm doing is not in vain. That there is an end goal, there are goals and things that we can secure that will help us with our growth and our expansion in our careers. Shout outs
Mhm.
to the MuleSoft to the MuleSoft section that they had at Dreaming in Color. I really appreciated that. I really stepped out on faith when I went there, and I was really happy with the experience overall. I got to meet you, I got to meet others, and like, okay,
Yes.
there are people out here. There are people out here who are really doing this, and I feel encouraged by that. So what I took from Dreaming in Color is that encouragement that what I'm doing has purpose.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Again, I had a great time there. And another event that is coming up for people who love hands-on stuff, hands-on, real, like anything that has to do with, okay, let's do it, let's work on it. It's the TDX, right? TDX is coming up, and what's your thought around TDX? Would you attend TDX? Are you going to be there? Why TDX? Why do you even want to go there? Share your thoughts around TDX.
Sure. So yes, TDX is coming up in March. I'm very excited. It's in San Francisco. This is the second conference that I'll be attending within the Salesforce realm. I'm really excited for that hands-on experience, especially with the aspect being AI and agent force. It's not something that I've really had a chance to explore. So to be able to have that immersive experience around people who have been working in the space, I believe there's like a hackathon as well, which is really
Mhm.
exciting. Honestly, just overall, I'm just really excited for that hands-on experience and just being physically within that sense of community, because a lot of the conferences or events that I go to are online. So to be in a
Yes.
physical presence with people who are just as ambitious and just as goal oriented and who want to learn is just really exciting for me. And I really look forward to TDX in March.
Yeah, amazing. If I had my way, I'll probably be at TDX because I just want to delve more into Agent Force, not Agent Cloud, Agent Force, and just experience, see a full life cycle of an Agent Force project, which again, so far, I'm looking forward to getting to do one of those such projects because it sounds exciting, right? Again, with the boom, with the AI boom, who doesn't want to see what this AI can do and learn how to use it to empower ourselves so we can work better, work smart, as they call it. So yeah, that's amazing. Hopefully, if I make it there, I know you'll be making it there, but if I make it there, then it's going to be amazing seeing you again, Shane. I should be told. Yeah.
Forward to it.
So when I host these shows, one of the things that happens is I always like to target the people that are getting into the space. I like to target the people who are in there and they are probably challenged and mostly, again, I always like to focus on those who are trying to find their way into this space and they're struggling with it, right? I've mentored a few people who said no, this was not for me. About two of my mentees said no, Salesforce was not working for them, and they decided to go to the AWS cloud space. Which again, I always give people the grace, like what works for you. You need to love what you see. The same kind of feeling you have with MuleSoft. Somebody needs to have that kind of interest in something in order for them to excel. That's how I believe, because for me, if I don't enjoy doing something, I don't know how I can excel in it. So I wanted to share your thoughts to someone who is getting into the tech space. I really don't want to narrow this down to the Salesforce realm. I want us to talk about it in the general, just in the tech space. Since you came, you describe yourself, you describe your background as unconventional, right? Since you came from the background that was not as techy as maybe you think, but let's talk about. I want you to address those people who are coming into the tech space from different backgrounds and just share your thoughts. Just throw some word of advice out there to them.
For sure. So the way that I did it, and I'm gonna get my handy dandy pen because this is just my what I do. So basically what I did is I identified the transferable skills that I already could take from my previous experience and how that I could do that in the tech space. So say that if you worked in customer service, you have the ability to communicate with people, you have the ability to problem solve. Those are really important aspects that will help you in the tech space. I would say identify your skills that you already have, identify your interests, just really take the time to really just sit with yourself and say, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Okay, if I don't know what I want to do, let me just go to, let's say, go to meetups. Like I would say, there's different meetups that you can look up.
Yeah.
There's different communities that you can get into, but then you're like, okay, Shana, like I understand that, but how do I get in there? I got you. I would say take your transferable skills
Mhm.
and identify those. And even if you have to just put it into a search engine and say, like, hey, these are my transferable skills. What can I do with this information? Or what can I do with this in order to transition into this tech space? I would do that and start there and just explore your options. Uh, use YouTube, like just explore what it is that you can do. Get out into communities. And if you don't like it, it's okay. You know, what I like about the tech space is that it's so vast and there's so many
So
different things that you can do. You don't have to be a engineer. You don't have to work in cloud. It's okay. I feel like there is a space for everyone, to be honest with you. I really feel like you can find your niche in the tech space, but if you're just starting, I would just say just identify your transferable skills and then go
mhm.
from there and then just explore. And if you don't like it, it's okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. I always say that if I wasn't doing what I do today, building solutions on the Salesforce platform, I'll probably be testing. Because for some reason, I just realized that I love to test what other people build. I don't know where that came from, but for some reason, I happen to have been a QA, like covered up as a QA on a project that I worked on. And I realized that I enjoy testing. I just want to see, like, give me scripts, write scripts, and test different scenarios, right? And I love that you have hammered on the fact that the space is broad. There are so many things that we can do within this space. I am a consultant on my journey to become an architect, right? And what I'll tell people, you don't have to do what I do. You don't have to, because I'm your mentor, doesn't mean that you have to do what I do. Let my story inspire you to find what interests you. And that's why I asked you that question, Shana, because you have a completely different kind way of looking at things. I asked you earlier on how you just see why would you just enjoy APIs? This is something that I am learning again on the journey of becoming an architect. I understand the basics of it, but I don't know if it's something that I'm gonna do every day. And I know I threw that at you. I'm like, oh, somebody really enjoys integration on APIs. Wow, okay, this is cool. But again, you see, another person will come and just say, hey, they'll prefer to do this. So the space is big. We just need to find what we want to do and the things that interest us so that we're able to wake up every day wanting to go to work, or if you want to do it for yourself, if you're an independent person, again, the most important thing is do what you do to give you the life you desire, right? Shana, let's talk a little bit about failure. And the reason I bring failure up is because some people get on this journey and it doesn't work for them. And not because of anything. It could, I cannot place a finger on what people experience this journey differently, right? It could just be that they got overwhelmed. Like someone reported to me that they got onto Trailhead and they didn't even know where to start. It was too much. But over time, Trailhead has done a good job in narrowing down. Before, I remember when I first got onto Trailhead, early 2018 or like late 2017, I was all over the place. I did everything. I started off, okay, I'm going to become a developer because my mentor was a developer. And I'm like, I started it. Then I found myself, I was all over the place. But today, when I look at Trailhead, I see that it has been arranged in a way that when I mentor somebody and I send them over to Trailhead, I try to help them to pick a path, a career path, and go down that path, because you can truly easily just get all over the place, be overwhelmed, and you're like, hey, this is not for me. People experience failure. Some people say, hey, they took their first set, they wrote the set like 3, 4 times, they didn't pass, and this is not for them. For someone who is experiencing all of these roadblocks within, and they're trying to maybe just find their path, I don't want you to narrow this only when it comes to the tech or to MuleSoft, but generally, what advice do you have for someone who fails at something and you're put in a spot where you have to encourage them to stand up, dust up, and keep going?
I would say hone into your why. Why are you on this track? Why are you on this journey? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? Something that I like to use is the who, what, where, when, why, and how of anything that it is that I'm doing. So I would just take the time to just really tap into that and write it down if you have to. Just, okay, why am I doing this? Is this something that resonates with me? Because sometimes, and I'll even go back to my journey, like this wasn't streamlined. I started off with software testing, realized it wasn't for me. That was a failure, you could say. Uh, you could say. I did cybersecurity. That was a fail. But was it though? You know, I feel like if we can change the narrative on what failure is, I feel like it just
Mhm.
gets us closer to where it is that we need to be, you know? So, say if someone really does want to go down this path and, they don't, maybe they don't pass on the first time or the second time, really just hone into your why, that who, what, where, when, why, and how that I mentioned earlier. And sometimes if
Mhm.
it doesn't work out, it's okay. You can explore something else. But if it's something that you really want to do, just really tap in and really just reach out to these communities. There's so many people in the tech space who are willing to help.
Yeah.
They're willing to give their expertise and really encourage you. So I would say if it doesn't feel right to you, but really think about it. If it doesn't feel right, then please like explore more. But if it's something that you really want, I just encourage you to just really lock in and just reach out for help. That's all I can say. Like I can say with Integration Quest, they really helped me understand and really got me into MuleSoft because at first I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is for me. But, eventually, but eventually it clicked and I was very grateful that I didn't give up on myself. So again, just hone in, really just come into yourself and say, hey, like, is this something I really want to do? Yeah, okay, let me reach out because there's people out here who are willing to help you.
Oh, awesome. I asked that question for myself too. Okay. So thank you for that advice. All right.
I
Thank you
got
so much. Is there anything you'd love us to talk about again? I might not have brought up everything. Is there anything you wanted to add to this conversation before I go to my final question of the podcast?
you. Well, I can say just for knowledge purposes what APIs are. I know I mentioned it a few times.
Yes,
So
please.
APIs is short for Application Program Interface. Basically, it's a way for softwares to communicate with others, with one another. Um, there are still institutions that use something called point to point integration, which by the name the point is point A to point B, point C to point D. But with APIs, it eliminates that point to point integration and allows for reusability and scalability. So all in all, if you don't take anything else from this, MuleSoft is an application program interface. It's an integration platform as a service that the
Mhm.
goal is to encourage reusability and scalability. So if that's something that you're interested in, something that you can see yourself doing, give it a shot. There's a lot of different integration platforms, but I feel like MuleSoft, between the community and the scalability, it's definitely something to look into.
Now that you're defining that, I might just dig deeper. Okay, even for myself. Now
Check it out.
that you're doing that, I know I go and I play on Postman now and again and get back. Not too much on GitHub, but on Postman, I love to try stuff on Postman just for my own. Okay, that's interesting. And now that you've done that definition of what APIs are, what's the meaning of any point platform? What does that any point mean for MuleSoft? Is does again, I don't want to define something wrong, so you please take it take it take it away. Because whenever I say MuleSoft, I see any point. Yeah, I don't
So
want to.
there's okay, sure thing. So there's the Anypoint platform that has different aspects within it. So you have your API manager, runtime manager, there's access management. So there is the platform as a whole, but then you have the IDE, which is really what I'm referencing, which is where your integration is actually happening. So to go back to Anypoint platform, you have your design centers where you construct the RAML, which is a file basically that shows or identifies how the API will work. And then you have
Mm,
Exchange, Anypoint Exchange, which is the best way I can describe it is like a repository. So that work that you did in Design Center will be in that area. So it's really just a platform. The Anypoint platform is made up of different aspects,
that's okay.
but I like to stay in
The
Anypoint studio. That's
IDE.
that girl.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Again, when you describe that, I just remember that whenever I see yourself, I always see that, like the way it's described. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your explanation. Thank you. It shows you know what you're doing, girl. You're a master of your MuleSoft, as you say. You. I bet that your fellow muleys are proud of you for talking about this, talking about MuleSoft this way you've just done. And yeah, again, I'm so appreciative of your time, you coming out here to share your knowledge with us. And just, I bet that someone that listens to this is going to dig deep into MuleSoft, because even me, Solange, I know a little bit of it, but I'm definitely going to dig deeper, because if Shana is finding this much pleasure in this thing, there is probably something in there that we have not discovered yet. So we're going to dig deep. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing this with us, Shana. The final question on my podcast, as I normally do, I always assume that I am some superpower, that I have the option to give you a mic where you can speak into and the whole world listens to you. So I always use this as my final um, question on the podcast, where you have the opportunity to talk to the world. Forget tech, forget MuleSoft, forget Salesforce, just talk to people, right? Is that person like people, like humans? And if you had to say something to the world, and this is your opportunity, that's launch she has given you and said, hey, Shana, the world is listening, speak out. What would you say?
I'm a very large component of the realm of possibility. I don't believe in limits. I don't have limiting beliefs. I feel like what I put out into the world is what I get back. So I would say, even in life, I know we're talking about tech, but if there's anything that you want to do in life, like it's within the realm of possibility. And I know that there's different maybe blocks or anything, but I would just encourage you to just really expand your mind and realize that the world really is your oyster. Say for me, I was working in a completely different field before this, had no idea what I was doing, and I was afraid. I was terrified, but I knew within myself that I wanted to make a change in my life, and by any means necessary, I would make it happen. So, the thing I would say is just, I would encourage you to just expand your horizons. The realm of possibility is really high. And I just wish anyone who sees this, I just wish you well. And I wish you success in your life, whatever it is that you want to do, just get out there. Like, I get for me, there's different realities or different places. It doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your background. Like, this is yours for the taking. So I would say, I would just encourage you to just dream big and get out there and do your best.
Awesome. Go for it, is what Shana says. Thank you so much, Shana. I appreciate your time. And to our listeners, thank you too. And I'll see you in the next episode of You Can Be Anything podcast.